Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new around here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, "Just found out that a warehouse is being built on land that I own. I was never told about it and didn't sell my land to anyone." I own property in North Carolina. It is a piece of land on the outskirts of a town/small city that is slowly expanding. It used to be farmland and there was an old house of little value. I live out of state and have not visited the place in 8 years. No one has been living in the house for the last 18 months. After all this time, I just went to have a look at my property. I was in for quite a shock as I arrived where my house used to be. The house has been torn down and there is a construction crew working all over my lot. They said they are building a warehouse and offices. There is a huge hole in the ground. As I was there were 2 excavators digging further into my land. A small hill that there was flattened. I could not believe it because I have not been told about my land being used for construction ever. I have not sold my land or the house. I've never been called by anyone seeking to buy it. As I was driving there, I noticed that the city has expanded and there are now buildings much closer to my land than ever before, but I had no idea that my own land was being used for development. This is so crazy, I cannot believe I'm even typing this. I have paid the property tax on this lot every year. It is my name on the title. I am livid. My land was taken from me without anyone telling me about it. I want to make the construction crew stop working on my property immediately. Then I want someone to explain me how this could happen and of course get appropriate compensation from whoever is responsible. Where do I start? How do I make them stop? I tried talking to the workers, but they wouldn't listen. Edit, I get it, I'm getting a lawyer. Edit number 2, and now the GIS website says it's no longer under my name. This is so effed up, I have no words. I've paid the taxes every year. How does this even happen? How do they send me taxes for property they don't think I own? And a person in the comments gave very good advice by saying, first thing to do is go to the county tax record and GIS lookup. You can find your county here. This should allow you to find your piece of property on the GIS map and make sure it is still under your name. Also, do the same for the county's property tax system and make sure there are no recorded sales or title changes. If you find a title change, then you need a lawyer immediately, as someone would likely have used a forged title/quitclaim deed, etc. to transfer the property, and you will want to get in front of that as soon as possible. If it is still in your name, someone has royally screwed up and you will likely still want a lawyer, as they will be responsible for restoring your property to how it was, including replacing the home that was destroyed. Obviously, it will be a new home now that it is completely removed. Assuming that title and taxes etc. all show in your name still, print out all of your documents, any surveys you have etc. make copies and don't take originals, and go to the job site and call the cops. Provide them with all of this information and cite the construction crew with trespassing to stop any further damage from occurring to your property. Post no trespassing signs along the border of your property and take reasonable steps to secure it. This will get the developer's attention quick and you could very likely be offered a sum to secure the property. And by the way guys, I'm curious, do you own any property? Personally, obviously, I don't own any property, but interestingly enough, in the little city that I lived in Europe, most of the people that owned a lot of property are farmers. And that is because their grandparents or whoever in the past bought all of this property for cheap, and now these farmers are pretty much the richest people in town. Update, just found out that a warehouse is being built on land that I own. I was never told about it and didn't sell my land to anyone. So many people were asking for an update, so here it is. I retained a lawyer and they started investigating. As some of you had said, there was problems with the taxes followed by a series of screw-ups by various people and services. My lawyer advises me to not go into further detail, so I won't. The whole situation looks like a cluster F of massive proportions in their opinion, and they've not gotten to the bottom of it in any way. Looks like getting compensated is going to be a long and frustrating process. Now I am heading back to Michigan and letting my lawyer do their job here. Anyway, thanks for everyone's advice. I was a bit shocked and not seeing things clearly, and so it helped. And guys, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you very much in advance. And the next one is titled $400 pet fee for a cat I don't own. I live in Colorado and just moved to a new apartment a couple months ago. The pet policy is that you can have up to 2 animals, there's a non-refundable $200 fee, a $200 deposit and a $25 monthly pet rent charge. I paid all that on move-in for my one dog and all was good. Fast forward 1 month, I heard a noise on my balcony and went to investigate. There is an orange cat with no collar sitting out there looking really cold. I did not let it in because my dog does not get along with other animals and who knows what diseases this cat could have, so I brought it some food and water. It left after it ate and I thought that was the end of it because I haven't seen it since. It must be a pretty regular visitor though, because I got a notice from my building manager stating that I was in violation of the community pet policy. When I called them up and asked, they said they noticed a cat on my balcony multiple times and that I needed to pay the necessary fees. I tried explaining that the cat is not mine, but the next day I woke up to another notice saying that my rent was going up another $25, as well as a demand for compliance in regards to the additional pet fees. This cat is absolutely not mine and I don't have an extra $400 just lying around. Is there anything I can do? And a person in the comments said, they can only do what your rental agreement says you have given them permission to do for the duration of the agreement. If there's a clause that says they can increase rent if they suspect more pets, they are within their right to do that. If there's no such clause, tell them the cat is not yours, they are more than welcome to call animal control to come rescue it, that they would be in violation of the rental agreement by raising the rent, again if there's no such clause, and then to pound sand. And another person said, you can encourage them to inspect your apartment at any time, to inspect your apartment and see that you have no cat food, no litter box, and there's even no cat stuff. Go down in person and see what it will take for them to believe you. I would personally suggest a come follow me up now and throw in a I'm usually home from X to Y, surprise me one day later this month and then to confirm. Basically just do what you can to convince them that you really don't have a cat. Also, feeding stray cats generally is not a good idea. Water and or shelter is one thing, but food is generally a whole other category. If you want to help the cat, take it to a shelter. If you suspect the cat has an owner and is simply an indoor/outdoor cat, it does not need your food. And guys, as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm currently living in a new rental apartment here in northern Thailand, and even though the apartment is very cheap, there's one big downside, and that is that pets are not allowed in the whole condominium. So unfortunately for the next half year or so, I won't have any cats around me. The next one is titled Update $400 pet fee for a cat I don't own. First things first, thank you everyone for all the help. I have settled things with management and no longer have to pay the fees. The reason behind that is something I just had to share with you guys. I managed to catch the cat after leaving a few bowls of food and it turns out he does have a collar. It is just hard to see under all his fur, so I looked at the tags hoping to find an address. There was one engraved into one of the tags, but there was just one small problem. The address was mine. Luckily, there was also a phone number and this one was not mine. So I dialed the number and it turns out this cat, Butter, belongs to the people who used to live in my apartment. They moved to a condo across the street and forgot to get new tags for Butter. I explained my situation and asked if they could tell management what was going on. They did, and less than an hour later I got a call from the leasing office. They apologized for the misunderstanding and said I no longer had to pay the fees. Naturally, I made sure to get that shit in writing. I don't think Butter will stop visiting my balcony, but as long as I am not getting in any trouble because of it, he's more than welcome to drop by whenever he feels like it. And guys, I would love to know, do you currently have any pets? Or maybe do you want to get any pets? Let us know about your plans or your current situation in the comments. And the next one is titled, "A club posted pictures of me online and I want them gone." I'm a college girl and I went to a bar with some friends. They had a photographer. I was told after that night out they usually have one, and there are a couple pictures of me they put online. They are not horrible, but they are also not great representations of me for the career I am going for. I called them, and when I asked nicely to please take down the pictures, I was questioned as to why I want them gone. I told them I wasn't comfortable with having my pictures online and didn't feel I needed to justify myself further. I was met with rudeness and was told it was a great promotional pic and they were not breaking any rules by having it on Facebook or their website. I complained and asked for the manager. Yeah, okay, go ahead and call me a Karen. I was hung up on how do I go about getting them to take it down. Thanks in advance. Update: so despite some of you guys commenting or PMing me things like shaming me and wanting to see the pictures, I actually received the correct advice. Facebook was very helpful with getting the photos taken down there. I reached out to their support and reported the photos and they were taken down within a week. And also someone pointed out this statute, section 3A, any person whose name, portrait or picture is used within the Commonwealth for advertising purposes or for the purposes of trade without his written consent may bring a civil action in the Superior Court against a person so using his name, portrait or picture to prevent and restrain the use thereof, and may recover damages for any injuries sustained by reason of such use. If the defendant shall have knowingly used such person's name, portrait or picture in such manner as is prohibited or unlawful, the court, in its discretion, may award the plaintiff treble the amount of damages sustained by him. That pointed me in the right direction of getting a cease and desist letter written. I have a friend who called in a favor with an IP lawyer who handled my case for very cheap. She was also pretty angry about it too when I told her about it, so I guess that was also motivation to help out a broke college kid. It took 2 cease and desist letters, but the pictures were finally taken down within 2 months. I have a sinking suspicion it cost me a job offer in the meantime, but I'm not sure enough to actually do anything about it even if I could. Anyway, thanks guys. And guys, I have to say, even though I'm not really old myself, but I feel like a lot of younger people and even people from my generation often forget how problematic it can be to have pictures of yourself up on the internet, especially on Facebook when it comes to job interviews. You really have to be very careful in regards to what you put online. And the next one is titled, "Bought new car at 100 miles. When I picked it up the next day, it had 380. In Texas, on every piece of paperwork it says 110 miles. The deal was closed Saturday night. They were closed Sunday. I picked it up Monday. The car was at the dealership I went to. WTF, how the hell does it have an extra 300 miles on it in 36 hours? Did someone take a trip in my frickin' car? What are my options? I don't know if I even want it if they beat it during the break-in period. I'm thinking of calling and demanding a replacement tomorrow." And a user in the comments said, "Why didn't you take the car on Saturday night? I'm asking for a reason. Was there any break between you test driving the car and starting the paperwork? Go grab lunch while you thought it over? Did you do anything like, 'Yeah, I like it, but I want the other wheel/stereo'? Any changes to the car you test drove? They would have just grabbed another car if you wanted that car, but with X not Y. They don't generally redo test drives because the sound system is different, etc. Double check the VIN on the car and paperwork makes sure they match. Only the last 6 digits of a VIN are unique. The rest of the VIN is a code that describes the car, year, maker, the model, even the color. Package and color, they could have 20 to 100 on the lot at any moment. It is more likely possibility they put the car you test drove back and prepped and sold you an identical one, either intentionally or unintentionally. And guys, if you were in this unfortunate situation after buying a new car, what would you personally suggest the OP to do? If you have any good ideas, let us know in the comments. Update: turns out dealership employees stole my car after I purchased it. Texas: okay, so quick recap, bought car Saturday night, my salesman refused to let me have it till it was insured. This was at 10 PM, 1 hour after closing. I showed him how my insurance covers the car for 30 days, he still wouldn't let me have it. Odometer at 101 miles, they are closed Sunday, I go Monday morning to pick it up, go through financing, got scammed on by the way, pull over to figure out the tag on my new car and see 380 something miles on it. After almost 12 hours and back and forth, it seems they are finally admitting my salesman stole the car from the lot on Sunday, took a trip and brought it back Monday morning. They gave me 2 options, neither are very generous. First, cancel the deal. Second, keep the same deal, get a similar focus. I am going there tomorrow morning. I am most likely going to cancel and take my business elsewhere. After I cancel the deal, I'm considering calling the police and reporting the auto theft and then calling Ford and letting them know what happened. Tomorrow I am going to let them know that this is what I will be doing unless I leave ecstatically happy. What I want is the following. First, give me the same black on black Focus SE I have now, but the one with pedal shifters. Mine now doesn't have it. They also cancel the warranty and bring my payments back to 60 months, what I signed for, instead of 72 months. That is what they sent to the bank with no signature from me, and they then give me the warranty for free. Second, I will eat the high payment and 72 months, keep the warranty. In return they give me an ST, Preferred or Titanium model. If they won't do any of those, I am pressing charges. He's on camera sneaking into the lot and stealing my car when they were closed. I am also letting their corporate office know what happened. By the way, of the 50 replies to my original post, 49 of the 50 of you said I was being an idiot to STFU and just let it go. Turns out it was exactly what I thought happened. My car was stolen and beat on for 300 miles. Sure happy I didn't listen to y'all. And obviously guys, that is also what can happen. Legal Advice not only gives great advice. And the last one was posted by user Acriel on our own subreddit r/ripe stories, and it has nothing to do with legal advice, but it is just a little bonus at the end of the video. This one is titled "Rude to a Cashier Ends in a $200 Fine and Car Being Towed." Here is a fun story for everyone. I was waiting at the checkout line at a local convenience store yesterday. In line in front of me was a guy well known in our small town for being the local jackass. Behind me in line was a police officer in full uniform. The man in front of me asks the cashier for a pack of cigarettes. As he did not specify a brand, I presume he was a regular and the staff knew what to get for him. The cashier then asks, "Can I see some ID?" In our state, she could have been personally fined along with a larger fine for the store if she did not ask for ID before selling tobacco products. By the way, regardless of how old the customer appears or if the cashier recognizes them and there was a cop watching, of course she asked. The man became irate.
"God damn it, you know me, I'm 45 years old, do you really need to card me?"
The cashier meekly points to the sign at the register, reminding him of the state law, and apologizes.
"Well, I don't have my ID, so are you going to sell me some cigarettes or not? Do you really want to lose this sale?"
Mind you, profit margins on cigarettes are almost zero, so this is not a compelling argument to any retailer. The cashier again apologizes and explains she cannot. Pounding his fist on the counter like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum, he begins shouting,
"This is bullcrap,"
followed by a slew of other expletives. I hear the officer behind me sigh. She knows she's going to have to intervene. He turns to look around and realizes the person who let out the exasperated sigh was a police officer. You could see in his face he knew he messed up, but something, be it pride, stupidity or whatever, something in his brain did not allow him to shut his mouth even when he knew he should. The officer stepped forward. I beat her to the punch. "Excuse me, Bob," I said, reading his name off the embroidered work shirt he was wearing. "I forgot I owe you a pack of cigarettes for that one you lent me. Here, have mine." I drew my spare pack from my pocket and handed it to him. He looks confused. With a wink I said, "Oh, and do you have that $10 you owe me?" "Yes, $10, that's the actual cost in my state." The light in his head clicked on. He was going to beat the system, get his cigarettes while figuratively flipping the bird to a law he despised, and right in front of a cop no less. He got a big smug grin on his face, gave me the money, and strutted to the door. The officer turned to me and said, "That was a little obvious. You know you're not supposed to do that. Besides, he was being an ass. I was starting to look forward to finding him." He backed himself into a corner there. I was just trying to help the guy out. Let him leave with his dignity intact. But if you really want to get him, he's about to go get in his car to drive, and you know he doesn't have his license on him. Her eyes lit up and she made for the door with a smug grin on her face. No license tickets are $200, $70 for the offense, $130 for court fees. And your car gets towed since they cannot let you drive it or abandon it. Not sure what towing and impound fees are, but I expect not cheap since our town is about 40 miles away from any impound lots. And you know guys, speaking about traffic fines or fines for not having a license and driving a car, recently here in Thailand a few new traffic regulations have been updated, especially in regards to the fees, and if I remember correctly, if you drive a vehicle without a license and get stopped by the police, you have to pay something like €5, which is maybe $7 or something, which is of course absolutely crazy for any person from a Western country. And yes, there are reasons for Thailand being the #1 when it comes to traffic fatalities. But then again, I gotta be honest, I would never criticize Thailand for this. This is not my country and I'm a guest here, so I just have to live by their rules, even if they seem crazy sometimes. Restaurant owners took 24% of my tip last night. I live in Maryland. I wait tables for $3.63 an hour plus tips. Last night I was handed an invoice for a party I was working, and at the very bottom, written in pen, the owner's wife/co-owner wrote tip multiply by 0.78 equals tip for server. That is 22% of my gratuity. On top of that, they have been taking 2% of our gratuity every night to help pay for the credit/debit card transactions. The fact that the owners are taking our tip money because they need spending money infuriates me, especially considering we already share 25% with the support service staff. Edit, thanks all for the advice. My plan now is to confront one of the owners about it and make sure to record what he has said. Updates will come later. Edit number 2, to all those concerned, I actually started working at another job 3 months ago in anticipation of this restaurant going out of business or me having to quit. Haven't pulled the trigger yet because even with both jobs, money is tight. Being trained to bartend at the new place, and from the looks of it, once I'm done with my training, the money from that will sustain me enough so that I can quit the restaurant in question. I appreciate the concern, you have all been incredibly helpful. Next update, I'm actually working a shift at this place right now. My plan was to talk with the owners in person after the shift, however, a handful of you have suggested emailing/texting would be better since there is no guarantee they would consent to being recorded. My plan now is to email them either after my shift tonight or sometime tomorrow after I have made some necessary calls. I understand now that it may be legal after all, given that it was an included service charge. Some have speculated that they may be paying employer-based taxes with it. However, for the past 5 years I've been here, they have not been going anywhere near our gratuities. Hopefully they will be honest with me when I email them and I can let you guys know what is really going on. You know guys, that is actually one of the things that I really dislike about the US, seeing how little you get paid for being a waitress at a restaurant and that you have to rely on tips in order to survive. What is your opinion about that whole situation? Feel free to let us know in the comments. Update to the restaurant story from before. Called the labor board today, turns out it was all legal, the gratuity was an included and required charge. In Maryland, they are allowed to take as much of it as they want in this case, as long as I still make minimum wage hourly plus tip, which I did. I guess I will be jumping ship soon anyways, the place is falling apart and the owners cannot figure anything out. If any employee in any department left right now, it would be disastrous for the restaurant. I already know that at least 2 other vital employees are planning to quit pretty soon as well because of how undervalued we all are. The owners have zero grasp of the concept of morale and how much it affects your business and the loyalty of your employees. I will be happy to leave this place behind me and watch it crumble shortly thereafter. The new place I started at a few months ago has been a completely different experience for me. I feel overwhelmingly valued, management is committed to supporting their staff, and the business is off the charts. I am doing well. Thanks for all the support. On a side note, if any of my RIPE stars have ever worked in a restaurant, what has been the largest tip you have ever gotten? Feel free to tell us in the comments. Mom stole a trust fund I did not know I had. Now the IRS is coming after me for unpaid taxes on the withdrawal. When I was a kid, my grandparents would give my brother and I checks for every holiday and birthday towards a mutual fund they opened in our names. My mom always told us we could not access the money until we were 25. A few years ago, I asked her about it and she told me the mutual funds investments had gone bankrupt and there was nothing left in the accounts. Fast forward to Thursday, my dad got a letter from the IRS addressed to me. I asked him to open it as I live in Canada now and shipping could take a while. In it, the IRS demanded the tax between $300 and $400 for around $3,600 withdrawn from the account. I was blown away as I had never accessed the account before. I did not even know my account number or anything of the sort. I called the company that held the account and they told me the account had been cashed out in August 2013. The check had been overnighted to my mother's house in Florida. They informed me it was not fraud as my mother is the custodian of the account and it was assumed the money would be for my benefit. However, I was living in Canada by then and never knew or saw a penny of that money. She did not fill out the 1099B that came with it and so it lapsed. What is my next step? Could I sue her for the original $3,600? Honestly, she's a broke crack addict and I never hope to get that money back. She also stole my inheritance from my grandparents and about $5,000 in US savings bonds from me prior to this. Right now I am mostly concerned that I do not want to pay the IRS for having been stolen from. How do I approach or dispute this with the IRS? After finding out, I also had my brother see his account history with them. Same story, 2.5k withdrawn at the same time as my account. The IRS has not contacted him yet. Should he preemptively contact them or wait to get a demand letter as well? Is the mutual fund in any way liable? I think the answer is no, but I feel it should be asked. I am still currently temporary resident in Ontario, US citizen. Brother lives in Texas, mom now lives in VA. The account was set up and cashed out in Florida. I am feeling lost and betrayed and any help would be appreciated. Thanks in advance. You know guys, this story reminds me of a story within my own family where an uncle of mine who was the godfather of my brother suggested that he would open, I think it was a similar fund like the one in the story, and my brother always thought that the uncle is putting money in that fund, but in the end it turned out that this particular uncle was not very good at saving money and instead preferred to spend the money on himself. Did you guys ever have a trust fund? Let us know in the comments. Update to the trust fund story. I am only 3 years late but wanted to update this post. I reached out to the IRS who, after several phone calls and hours on hold, told me nothing could be done and to just pay up. I called one more time and a much nicer agent told me more kindly that nothing could be done unless I could get my mother to admit to withdrawing the money in writing. I told her that if she just told the truth, admitted it to me and the IRS and wrote the letter, I would forgive her and we could put it behind us. She refused. I told her to not contact me again until she was ready to stop blaming others and admit what she had done. A few blissfully calm weeks later, she called me and apologized. She wrote a handwritten letter stating she withdrew the money without my knowledge and none of the proceeds went towards my care. I wrote my own letter explaining that I was already an adult immigrating to another country at the time of the withdrawal and attached a photocopy of my passport stamps, an affidavit that I had never lived at the address the check was sent to, and the receipt of my immigration application which was dated prior to the withdrawal. I asked that the tax liability be transferred to my mother and included her SS number, which she signed off on. The IRS sent me a letter back stating that the taxes owing would be issued under my mother's name. Because she was a jobless crack addict, her income was under the federal threshold and she did not need to pay anything due to how low her income was that year. Disaster averted. For those curious, no, I never got the money back and decided not to pursue it. I did not know it existed before the IRS contacted me, and I did not feel it was in anyone's best interest to force the issue, knowing that I would never get repaid anyways. Mom quit crack a year or two back, but still battles her demons in the form of alcoholism. Our relationship has slightly improved. Also, I am a woman, most comments assumed I was male. The end. If you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you so much for your daily support, it really means the world to me and I appreciate every single like and every single comment. Next story, Walmart refused to let me leave with groceries I paid for. Yesterday afternoon, I, 34 female, took my 4-year-old son and 2-year-old daughter grocery shopping at Walmart in Irvine, California. I was waiting on my next paycheck, so I bought $175 worth of groceries with $300 in the bank. The cashier kept asking me to swipe my card, saying the transaction did not go through. I checked my bank balance with my Wells Fargo app and found that Walmart had already charged me the $175 for groceries. I asked for a manager to come and fix the situation. Manager assured me the charge would drop off. He asked for my bank card to call my bank. He said he wanted to look at the customer service phone number, so I told him the phone number. I also called my bank, they opened a claim and said they would email me the claim number, but I checked my inbox and I did not receive an email from them. I asked the manager to try to contact his supervisor to see if the situation could be fixed so I could leave with my groceries, as Walmart had already charged me for them, and with the transaction pending I did not have enough funds available to buy more groceries. Manager refused to contact his supervisor. He said, "He's not here." I ended up having to leave a full cart of groceries with this manager in tears and drive to Wells Fargo to explain the situation. They told me there was nothing they could do as long as the charge was pending. They said to call them as soon as the charge went through. I called Walmart customer service and explained the situation and emailed their corporate office. This morning the charge went through. I called Wells Fargo and let them know, and they emailed me a claim number. I also emailed Walmart customer service again. As a single working mom of 2 young children, $175 is a lot of money to me. That was the grocery budget I had been able to set aside for the entire month for me and the kids. What can I do to make sure I get my grocery money back? You know guys, in some situations you have to call for the manager and it does not automatically make you a Karen. And by the way, how much do you guys pay on average if you go grocery shopping? I would say here where I live, for around $55 you can get a full cart of groceries that can last you around 2 weeks. Update to the Walmart story. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all the thoughtful and kind responses. It really helped me take a proactive approach instead of letting worry sit in the driver's seat. And by the way, that's a proverb I've never heard before. I looked in my bank account this morning and the purchase was reversed. In addition to advice regarding contacting my bank, you guys gave excellent advice about what to do in a situation where I might fall short on food again, which can definitely happen when you are living paycheck to paycheck, and I hope anyone who ever finds themselves in this situation remembers they can always visit a local food pantry in an emergency food shortage. I only posted that original post on this forum, so any similar posts on other forums are not me, but having this happen made me aware of it being a possibility and also something others might go through. My situation had a happy ending and I believe a lot of that had to do with you guys. Thank you. I have to admit, I just love wholesome stories. And by the way, if you ever find any really awesome wholesome stories on Reddit, feel free to post them in the comments or on r/ripe stories on Reddit. An employee has obtained a personal video of me and is showing it to others. A year ago, I had a brief casual relationship with a co-worker. Since then, I have been promoted and now manage a team of around 40 people, including a woman who is currently dating my ex-partner. This ex, against my wishes, had apparently kept videos of me on his phone, to clarify, explicit sexual videos, and I was aware of their existence but had requested they be deleted. Last week, this woman found one of the videos, sent it to herself, and is now showing it to people that I work with and manage. She's also lying about when this all occurred, saying that it was recent. Obviously, I made a big mistake in my choice of partner. Shaming is not necessary or welcome. I promise you I'm shaming myself plenty. I had a strict no photos policy prior to this and allowed the videos to be taken because I was pressured. That is neither here nor there at this point. I am in New York City. Is there anything I can do from a legal perspective? Does this count as slander/revenge PORN? My job does not have any policies against employee relations, so I am protected on that side of it. I just want this to end. Now. I appreciate the supportive comments, makes me feel much better. As I'm making inquiries now, it seems she has figured out that distributing the video was a very bad choice. She has got her friends circling the wagons and telling me that the video was never shown to anyone and she never had it. I know for a fact this is a lie, but it complicates things. Apparently, she even broke her phone and got a new one. I have talked to my boss, who is also a good friend. We all work on Saturdays, which is why I'm dealing with it today, and we are trying to figure out options to move forward. Edit number 2, I called my director, who has been my mentor since I started here 3 years ago. I knew he had been told about the situation and was dreading the call, but he was kind and supportive in every way. He actually took the decision completely out of my hands and will be contacting HR and our VP on my behalf. He also reassured me that he does not judge, no one else will judge, and they will take care of me. He also gave advice as far as pressing charges. I guess even her sending it to her phone from his is illegal, even if she never showed it to anyone. I feel so much better. Thank you all for the kindness and support, which are what ultimately made me feel okay about speaking to my director. Honestly, in modern society, I don't wish that upon anyone. But let's see how the story continues. Update to the employee story from before. Since my last post gained some attention, I am posting an update. After I submitted the post on Saturday, I called my director. He has been my mentor and a trusted friend since I started at the company 3 years ago and was already aware that the relationship between myself and my ex was a thing that happened. I had been told that my employee had gone directly to him, I'm assuming to smear me, so I knew I had to speak to him about it directly. I was expecting an "I told you so" type conversation, but he was kind, understanding and completely non-judgmental. He told me he does not look at me any differently and no one else does either who matters. He also made my decision about whether or not to go to HR much easier. Since he is a director and she brought it to him, he was obligated to report it. This was basically the best case scenario for me. I'd had several of her friends come to me and ask me not to go to HR and to let her work it out of her system. Now I can say that the decision to bring it to them was completely out of my hands. I got a phone call from HR this morning asking me to report immediately to them. I asked if I could go to my building first to clock in and change, and they told me nope, as soon as possible. I sat down with them and they were also totally kind and completely non-judgmental and supportive. They got the full story, the names of everyone involved, and asked a lot of good questions. They also confirmed what commenters on the last post told me, that I had done nothing wrong and had nothing to be ashamed of. They even told me that they will do whatever they can to protect my reputation as the investigation moves forward. From what I've heard, both the AVP and the director of HR have dedicated their entire day today to interviews with people, so I feel confident that this is being handled as it should. They called her in this afternoon to get her story and suspended her with pay pending the investigation. As an aside, as my manager drove her to the corporate office for the meeting, she told him how she is
the real victim here.
The mental gymnastics just totally baffles me. I've been advised to document everything, including any interactions with her friends in case there is any hostile workplace environment concerns. And unfortunately guys, we have reached the end of the video. Please let me know in the comments whether you still enjoy r/LegalAdvice or not. Thank you very much for watching and I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.